Let us discuss the next question now. This is from the year 2023. Consider the following statements. Statement 1. In India, prisons are managed by the state government with their own rules and regulations for the day-to-day administration of prisons. Statement 2. In India, prisons are governed by the Prisons Act of 1894, which expressly kept the subject of prisons in the control of the provincial governments. So this question is talking about the prisons, whether they are in the state list, whether the state government controls it or the central government controls it, and the powers given to the prisons through the Prisons Act of 1894. We have to select the correct answer and see whether statement 2 is the correct reason for statement 1 or not. Prisons even today is a subject which is given in the state list, because law and order is there in the state list. So prisons is related to the law and order. So it makes sense for the government to keep both of them, the law and order and the prisons, in the same entity's purview. So that is why, because law and order is there in the state list, the prisons are also kept under the state list. So statement 1 says, in India, prisons are managed by the state governments and with their own rules and regulations for the day-to-day administration. Obviously, if something is there in the state list, it is the state which will make laws on it, and the rules and regulations for the day-to-day administration, that will also be made by the state government itself. So this is correct answer, correct statement. Statement number 2. In India, the prisons are governed by the Prisons Act of 1894, which expressly kept the subject of the prisons in the control of the provincial government. So if you see the year here, this is under the British government, the act which came. So yes, in India, the prisons are governed by the Prisons Act of 1894. So under the British government, the power was given to the provincial governments to manage the prisons. So even after the independence, the same continued, and it is with the state governments now. So this statement is also correct, and statement 2 is the correct reason for statement number 1. So answer will be A. Both statement 1 and 2 are correct, and statement 2 is the correct explanation for the statement number 1. So this is how you would solve it in the exam conditions. Now let us look at the explanation. Like I said, prisons is a subject in the state list under the 7 schedules of lists. The management and the administration of prisons, they exclusively are kept under the domain of the state government, and they are managed by the Prisons Act of 1894, which during the British time which was made. And a prison can be a permanent place or a temporary place as defined by the state government for the detention of the prisoners, and includes all the lands, buildings appurtenant thereto. That means whatever is the land which is located and the buildings which are there in the land, everything will be considered as prison. So it can be a permanent place which is designated as prison, or it can be a temporary place which is declared as prison by the state government. So that also can be included. For what purpose? For the detention of the prisoners. And section 59 of this Prisons Act clearly says that the state government has the powers to make the rules consistent with the act. So that is why the state governments have the power to frame the rules and regulations regarding the day-to-day management of the prisons. And state governments have their own prison manuals according to which the day-to-day administration is carried on. So statement 2 is the correct reason for the statement number 1. So answer will be A.